What is up, everyone, and welcome back. We are back. I guess that's the better thing. We are back and better than ever. I'm your host, Captain Boring, alongside my main man, Robert. It is always good to be back with you. Robert is joining us for the first time. Not the first time, but in a long time. And then it's been a few weeks since I have graced the presence of your screen, so thank you, everyone, for being here. This is the 4th and 1 podcast. You can follow us on all our socials, YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that share button if you like us enough to share with everyone so that we can keep doing this and providing it to you, because this is brought to you by you, the fans. Spring has sprung in college football. Spring practice has started. Michigan started today, or maybe even yesterday, as a matter of fact, and happy St. Patrick's Day. We are recording this on the 17th of March at 2:04 p.m. Robert, welcome. Happy St. Patrick's Day, bud.
Hey, thank you, bud.
Did anyone pinch you at the gym?
No, just myself.
Okay, alrighty, just yourself. To catch some people up in the world of sports outside of college football, World Baseball Classic concludes tonight. So by the time people are listening to this, more than likely, either the U.S. or Venezuela will have won the World Baseball Classic. U.S. needed some help from Italy earlier in this tournament because they lost, because the manager doesn't know how it works. And then I would say Venezuela, with the upset of the tournament so far, beating Japan, powerhouse Japan. They were the defending champs last year. And then also coming up is March Madness. I think the first 4 starts tonight. Is that right?
Let's say Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think so.
So first 4 is tonight. And then the tournament of 68 teams starts Thursday. You doing a bracket?
Yeah, I'll probably do it once I figure out who the four are.
I'm going to also do a bracket. I am waiting. Normally I fill it out ahead of time, but I'm actually going to wait this year. Michigan looking good. However, I don't know. Those other 2 1 seeds in Arizona and Florida, they are hot right now. So, and Michigan did not win their conference championship game. Michigan, Florida, Arizona won. So it's Michigan and Florida didn't win of the 1 seeds. And normally I feel like you got to be pretty hot rolling into March. So we're going to have to see how all this plays out. And I was hoping to be able to fill out a bracket kind of live on this thing, but we can't. So spring has sprung in college football. Spring practice are beginning, and every fan base is filled with hope right now. Every fan base thinks that they can win the national title. Every Power 4 fan base thinks they can win the national title. And every Power 4 fan base with a brand new coach is excited, because a new coach springs hope, which springs eternal. And so we are going to play a little game I like to call the good, the bad, and the ugly. What we're going to do, Rob, is we're going to go through, and I want you to tell me, I'm going to give you the team, I'm going to give you the coach, and I want you to tell me whether this upcoming season you expect them to have a good season, and you can define that however you want to define that. And maybe good is different on different levels for you, whether they will have a bad season, again, or an ugly season. Ugly season is not many wins at all. Any questions on how we're going to play this game?
No, we're gonna wing this.
Okay, we're gonna wing it just like everything else on this podcast. Worstest podcast on the interwebs. Let me scroll up to this. I hit the button. I did the thing. We heard the sounds. All right. Tavita Pritchard, Stanford. He was handpicked by Andrew Luck, the GM of Stanford. Going back to college football, he was on the Washington Commanders coaching staff, and now he is back in college football, where he played college football at Stanford. There are also 2 new coordinators, obviously. So, Stanford and Tavita Pritchard, Good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to say it's going to be bad. I don't think it's going to be ugly in the sense because I don't think that they're not going to be as bad as what they were, I think, last year. But the ACC as a whole is not that great, so they will be good for the ACC, but bad for in reference to the other conferences.
Okay. All right. I will say good, but I will classify this. I think they're like 6-6, 7-5, and they maybe pull an upset here or there throughout the season. Oregon State went out and hired Jamarcus Shepard. He was on the Alabama coaching staff last year. He is now also kind of this is a homecoming for him as well. So good, bad, or ugly with Pac-12 is now back together. Mostly it's just Mountain West teams, but Pac-12 back together. So for Oregon State and Jamarcus Shepard, the 2026 season produces what?
I'm going to say it'll be good. It'll be good because of it being a lot of Mountain West teams. So the competition should be a little bit less than what they're typically used to. But I think they'll probably be in like the 7-8 win range.
Okay. I'm gonna say Oregon State. Well, you sent off a little link this morning in the group chat. Oregon State really hasn't been good since 2000, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Smith was there. I didn't know Chad Johnson. That's where he went to school. I didn't know TJ Hushman. What's funny about TJ Hushman, Zade, and Chad Johnson going to Oregon State is they then were on the same team in Cincinnati in the NFL.
Yeah.
Did not know that. So they were number 5. When was the last time that happened? I don't think it happens this year. I think it's still bad. I'm not really sure how the recruiting gets much better when you got Oregon and Washington up in that area. In the Big Ten, Washington State's still in there hanging around. Where's Washington State at? What conference are they in?
Same as
they're in the Pac-12 still.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say bad, but again, bad is like an improvement on last season. They weren't very good last year. I think it's 4, maybe even 5 wins for that. Colorado State went out and hired Jim Moore from UConn. UConn was joining the MAC, just had joined the MAC. Now Colorado State, they are one of the ones going to the Pac-12, I believe. So he's going from the MAC to the Pac-12-ish, back-to-back 9 winning seasons coming from UConn. So Colorado State, good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to say it'll be ugly, but on the verge of being bad. I think they're still going to struggle. I mean, just because you bring in a decently good coach doesn't mean it's obviously going to turn around as quick. But I also think the recruiting out of Colorado really hasn't been great either. I mean, even Colorado, University of Colorado, where most kids would want to go, the bigger, more reputable state school with Dion, they're not even doing anything. So I'm going to say ugly, but on the verge of bad.
Okay. All right. I think it'll be good, but again, I'm going to qualify my good by saying I think it's a 7-5, 8-4 type season. They're not sniffing the college football playoff. Nothing outstanding. Jim Moore is fine. I mean, UConn was in worse shambles when he took over UConn. Colorado State's got a little more money than UConn does, at least a few years ago. They kind of redid their facilities there. So I'm going to go a little bit different and say good, but still 7 or 8 wins. Oklahoma State went out and got Eric Morris from North Texas. He then brought Drew Messam. He brought the North Texas's best running back, best wide receiver, best quarterback, best part of all their team in this new age college football. So Eric Morris at Oklahoma State with the Pokes. Good, bad, or ugly?
I think they're going to be good. Now, not good as in, they're going to win 10, 11 games. I think they'll probably get 8, 7, 8 around there. But compared to last year, that will be very good.
Yeah, much improvement on 1 win. I am with you. I think it's good. I actually think they're closer to 9 wins this season, 9-3, 8-4 at worst. I would love to see the Pokes kind of back on top. It has been far too long with them being down the last few years. We need them back at the top of the Big 12 because I feel like when the Big 12, when Oklahoma State's healthy in the Big 12, the rest of the Big, it kind of elevates everyone around it. And without Oklahoma being in there now, gone to the SEC, they really need kind of that region to bolster things up for the Big 12. James Franklin gets fired from Penn State. Last year, mid-season, Penn State had just grand plans of hiring some big-time coach, and then they ended up with Matt Campbell, who we'll get to in a minute. But James Franklin then takes his time, goes to Virginia Tech, who then he quickly hires, wouldn't you know it, as his defensive coordinator, the old coach at Virginia Tech that was just fired, Brent Pry. I did not know this. That's hilarious to me. So with the old coach there, and the new coach, and Pry did coach under Franklin as the defensive coordinator while he was at Penn State before he took the Virginia Tech job. Is Virginia Tech's 2026 season good, bad, or ugly?
I think they'll be good. He's probably the best thing to happen for Virginia Tech. A lot of it, again, we can always go back and forth on whether the problem at Penn State was Franklin or the coordinators or just the system at Penn State as a whole or just the kids. Either way you look at it, you can blame all of them, really. But I think for Virginia Tech, it's a good thing if he's able to rally the kids. I mean, all he has to do is go better than 3-9, and it's a win season. And the ACC just really isn't that. They're not that good per se anymore. Like there's no, I mean, Miami came out. I mean, Virginia was 11-3 and Miami was 13-3. But other than that, no one else had 10 wins.
Are you putting them? Are you giving them a shot to win the conference?
I think any of them have, like, any of them really have a shot. Maybe except Stanford and Boston College, but everyone else I think has a decent shot. I mean, Clemson hasn't really proven. They went 7-6 last year with a roster that really was a national contention roster. Miami, I don't. Who's Miami's quarterback next year?
Darian Metza from Duke. Mensa.
Yeah, Duke went 9-5, so they're going to go from 13-3 to probably not. Well, they might make the playoffs since we had to, because we want to make it bigger. But yeah, they have a shot. I think they all have a shot.
I think it's a good season. I think it's 10-2. It's Franklin. Franklin is the epitome of 10-2. I think at worst it's 9-3, but I think he late into November he is right there for an ACC title. I think maybe even this year that he thinks he can get to an ACC title game. And Robert, as you said, outside of Miami, assuming Miami isn't a down Miami again, so assuming they kind of piggyback of what they did last year in the runner-up, who is there? Are we trusting Virginia? I'm certainly not, right? You're not trusting Clemson anymore. I'm kind of out. Clemson's got to prove it. So outside of Miami, who else is in the ACC, right?
Right.
I feel like it's a battle for second. Lots of talent within the ACC. SMU, I would probably jump in there just because at a point last season, since they joined the conference, they had won the most conference games. But yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be a good season. 10-2 is what I'm expecting, which might be a little overhyped, but that's Franklin's there to not tamper expectations, but exceed them. Kent State went out and hired Mark Carney. He was the interim position, and then he won or got that tag removed. So Kent State still in the MAC. The golden flashes of Kent State, good, bad, or ugly.
I'm gonna say bad on the verge of good. They're probably gonna be 6-7 win ball club. But I mean the MAC is another conference where every year there's always one or two schools that are just randomly, like it was Western Michigan and Ohio this year. Probably next year it'll be Miami, Ohio, and Northern, or no, it wouldn't be Northern Illinois. They're gone. Probably Eastern Michigan. Like, it's always two random teams that weren't good last year are kind of good this year. So I'm going to say it on the bad on the verge of good.
I'm going to say good for Kent State, bad for everybody else. Right? Good for Kent State expectations. I think they're a 4 or 5 win team, which is great. Historically, what they bad, but that's bad expectations for everyone else. But I'm right. I mean, I think they'll sniff a bowl game. I think they did end up winning like 4 games last year, I think I saw. So I'm expecting kind of more of the same. Good expectations for Kent, but bad for anyone else. So I will go bad. Arkansas down in the SEC, they went out to Memphis and hired Ryan Silverfield to head up the Hogs there in Arkansas. He comes in from Memphis. Fan base in Arkansas, Fayetteville, very unhappy with the hiring. They wanted a big name. They wanted someone else. I'm going to start off. I think this is a sneaky good hire. However, I expect them to have a bad season. 5-7, noise and loud start surrounding, but you got to start somewhere. And this Arkansas just feels like it was a broken program. A lot of pieces left, including Taylor Green, went to the NFL, put on a show at the Combine. So I'm going to say they have a bad season, 5-7.
Well, considering they went 2-10 last year, 5-7 is a home run. So I'm gonna say it'll be a good year for Arkansas, which could be that 5-7, 6-6, but they're still gonna probably be like bottom 3 of the SEC.
Okay. All right. Well, again, you got to start somewhere. I do want to see one thing for Arkansas. I want to see who the coordinators are. He didn't hire anyone of note. Okay, Alex Golish comes from USF. He brings along the offensive coordinator, Joel Gordon with him. He also brings his starting quarterback. Again, it's the new age college football. He brings some of the talent that the USF team had with him to Auburn, a place historically that is not kind to outsiders of mid-majors, SEC, non-SEC folk, coaches who haven't coached in the SEC. Alex Golish, listen, there's some like Soviet Union background, like he's built differently than us Americans. Opening press conference, they try to get him with a golf question. Does he like golf? He answered it very well. Auburn, Alex Golish, good, bad, or ugly in 2026?
I'm going to say I want to say ugly just because of the position that Auburn is in, and your recruiting is more or less terrible because you're constantly fighting with Alabama and other great schools in the Southeast Conference. But they could be bad because they're probably going to be middle road of the SEC, but middle road is still not good. So let's go on the verge, more towards the bad, but definitely can be ugly.
Anybody born in Moscow, Russia in 1984, they're just going to have different traits. They're going to have different expectations. Certain things will bother them less than just everybody else. And because of that, I'm going to say good. I think you look up and they're a sneaky good team. They've beaten some good teams. They've had weird losses. They've had some close losses, some overtime losses, but I think you're looking up at 8-4, 9-3. And from what Auburn was to that, I'm going to say that that's good. Auburn fans, you can comment below if there are any listening to this. Do you agree that a 9-3 first year from Alex Golish would be bad or not? Some of some of that, like if you're going to say that 8-4, 9-3 in your coach's first season is bad, I am going, and you lost Cam Coleman, you lost some talent. I'm going to say that you need to re-look at your expectations. You ran Brian Harsin out. You saw what that got you, which was no better. And now you're bringing in another guy. So we're just going to have to see what Alex Golish, but anyone born in Moscow, Russia in the 1980s, they're just a different breed. Same conference, further south, Gainesville, Florida. John Summerall comes over from Tulane as Billy Napier was fired and then went to JMU. Good, bad, or ugly for Florida's season coming up?
Bring Florida's schedule up for a second. Florida is going, I'm going to say bad, because their schedule's not good. So, a first-year head coach in Florida, huge expectations in Florida. They're going to get the wins that they should get, but like they're not going to beat Georgia. They're not going to beat Oklahoma. They're not going to beat, well, they might beat Texas because Texas doesn't know how to play against Florida. But yeah, I think they'll be bad in a sense of 5, 7, 6, 6, 8, 7.
Everyone's just waiting for you to say the two magic numbers, bud.
What, 0 and 11, 0 and 12?
6, 7. That's what people are waiting. He brings in Buster Faulkner, an offensive coordinator from Georgia Tech, the same offensive coordinator whose, I guess, life mission was it to just kill Haynes King, or at least use every ounce of talent that Haynes King had. And he did it very well, and Haynes King is a monster. So I expect the Florida rushing attack to be much improved from where it was last year, which was not awesome whatsoever. The quarterback play is DJ Lagway still in Florida? I don't think so. I think he went somewhere else, right?
I think he was supposed to. I want to say, yeah.
He plays for Baylor now. So yeah, so Lagway's gone. So quarterback's going to be a big question mark. But I wonder, because he didn't bring in the Tulane quarterback because he was a senior.
Right.
So the running game should be improved. Quarterback's a big question mark. They do have talent on the outside. I think Dallas Wilson stayed. I want to say Dallas Wilson, Florida. Yeah, so Dallas Wilson, who came on late, he kind of had an injury and didn't really appear until halfway through the season last year. He's 6'3", 213 pounds. Gives him a weapon, whoever is spinning that rock there in Gainesville, a weapon on the outside, very talented, very speedy. Well, and you said bad for Florida because of the schedule?
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. The schedule, for some reason, like, for Florida, it's just never great on the outside. Maybe we get in season, you know how things change. I'm going to say bad. I'm going to say they make a bowl game, but for what expectations are, which are college football playoff every single year, agreeably wrong expectations, I am going to say it's going to be bad based on what the expectations are. Let's go to Louisiana and the Bayou. The most toxic relationship in all the world, in all of college sports, in all of the world, begins in 2026. Lane Kiffin comes from Ole Miss. It was well documented on this podcast, on every single other sports podcast, sports show, college football related, whatever. Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss, could have probably won a national championship for LSU. He comes in, he gets a high-profile quarterback, he resets the roster in the transfer portal. The cupboard was definitely not as empty as people, I think think it may be because there's a lot of talent there in Louisiana. He kept a good recruiting class that was already there in-house. It's only going to get better from here. He knows how to coach the offensive side of the ball. All the offensive assistants from Ole Miss came. He's kind of resetting the culture defensively, and I will get you the defensive coordinator. So LSU, good, bad, or ugly?
Well, they better hope it's good, but I think it should be good. They also have a lackluster schedule, but they should have 9-10 wins, which is a good for a first year head coach at the school, but it should also be bad because it's Lane Kiffin, and for all the turmoil and trouble that he causes and uncertainty he causes, then it should make it bad. But
so Blake Baker is actually staying there as the defensive coordinator. So I did misspeak there, and it's just a whole new offensive coaching staff with Charlie Weiss Jr. at LSU. I'm going to say good. I think the expectations are college football playoffs. I think he reaches those. Minimum, you have to go 10-2. Minimum. Do you got their schedule still in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you list it off for me?
So they got home game against Clemson, home against Louisiana Tech, at Ole Miss. So that'll be like the homecoming. That'll be all they talk about that week.
I bet Mustard gets thrown on the field again.
Yep. Then they are home against Texas A&M. So they get 2 tough ones back to back.
Yeah.
Then they get McNeese at home, at Kentucky, home against Mississippi State, at Auburn. And then this is kind of where I think it's going to make or break the season. It's the last 4 games. Home against Bama, home against Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas.
So I do have 10-2. I have losses to Bama, and who's the one after Ole Miss?
After Ole Miss is A&M.
And I have a loss to A&M as well. Minimum. Again, if there are any LSU fans, like, am I wrong? 10-2 at a minimum, or this season's a failure? You got to make a playoff. I mean, I guess you could do 9-3 and make the playoff, and it's not as. But like 10-2, 9-3, you're probably begging for the last spot outside of the group of 5. 10-2, it probably pushes you up, and you have a much better chance at a seeding than what you would at 9-3.
9-3 is doable if your losses are to Clemson, Ole Miss, and A&M, but you beat in the last 5 weeks of the 4 weeks of the season, Bama, Texas, Tennessee, and Arkansas.
Yeah.
So if your 3 losses come Bama, Texas, Tennessee, then your playoffs are probably gone.
I just don't see how they're going to struggle early in the year. I think if they're going to struggle anywhere, it's going to be that last stretch of 5 games,
Yeah.
That's going to hurt them. Like, I don't see Clemson as a threat to LSU.
Well, I don't think really to anyone is looking at Clemson as a threat, just because Clemson has to like reinvent the wheel at this point, because they're going to have a fresh quarterback and everything else.
Yeah. All right. So the school that he left LSU for is Ole Miss, and they stayed in-house and they hired Pete Golding, and they salvaged a lot. As it stands, Trinidad Chambliss is the quarterback. This could change come this fall. He is still participating with an injunction. Whether or not a judge overturns that remains to be seen, and that's an argument for another time, that whole process. Pete Golding played linebacker at Ole Miss. He bleeds Ole Miss colors, whatever they might be. I apologize for not knowing them. He was hired. He stepped in last year for the playoff run, had a great playoff run. Trinidad Chambliss bailed them out. The difference in between last year's offensive team and this year's offensive team will be starkly different because, again, Charlie Weiss Jr. and most of the assistants under Charlie Weiss Jr. went to LSU. Very few stayed. The defense will be the same. John David Baker does come in from East Carolina and actually was helping on staff during the playoff run against Miami and the week before when they beat Georgia. The offense should be dynamic because the running back and wide receivers are returning. East Carolina last year was top 5 in the American Conference in total and passing yards. So I think there will be some offensive explosion still there. Good, bad, or ugly for Ole Miss?
I am going. I want to say good because in the grand scheme of things, it would probably be a good season. They probably would have 9-10 wins, but coming off of the run that they had, it would kind of be a bad year. So I'm gonna say bad.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, losing Lane, whatever. You can always kind of you can figure out the head coach portion.
Sure.
But I think the bigger blow to them was losing Charlie Weiss Jr. and everything that he brought to them. And it's also, I mean, if Trinidad can't play, you might as well just mop the season up.
Are you? And bad is how many games?
Bad for Ole Miss.
For Ole Miss, yes, yeah.
For Ole Miss, a bad season is anything less than 10, I would say.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go bad on the fringe of ugly.
It's possible. I mean,
I'm not a huge fan of going from a heavy offensive style coach, and especially in the manner of which it was a sudden change operation, to now a heavy defensive style coach. I understand he's bringing in someone with a lot of acumen and talent for drawing up the correct plays and getting people and getting the ball in the end zone and throwing the ball around. That was at East Carolina in the American. Very different conferences. The schedule is also not forgiving because you start with Louisville and they can throw the ball around. Then you get Charlotte. So it's Louisville at neutral site, Charlotte, then LSU. That's a homecoming game, and you're going to be revved up for that. Then you have to immediately turn around the next week and go to Gainesville. That's a hard place to play. Then you go to Vandy. Clark Lee's got that unlocked. Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Georgia, at Oklahoma, Wofford, and Mississippi State. From September 26th to November 14th, they could be playing just straight top 25 teams. I think they're a bowl team. I think they win a minimum of 6 games, but I think that it could get out of hand to where you're looking at the end of the season and they're 4-8. And that's ugly to me after what they just did as well. And I'm not even saying that they'll play bad to be 4-8, but that schedule, the sudden change, and going from an offensive style coach to a defensive style head coach, I think is just breeds recipe for disaster. UCLA went to the mid-majors, as you would call it, and went to JMU and Bob Chesney. Bob Chesney scored more points on Oregon than Texas Tech did in the college football playoff on the road, not even at a neutral site. So he knows how to coach offense. He knows how to get them up and running. The cupboard is not bare, especially at the quarterback position with Nico Iamaleava. There is intrigue there from NFL scouts, from what I hear. Just on podcasts and stuff, I have no connections. And Nico needs to play well. So UCLA, bottom of the barrel Big Ten last year, good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to say they are going to be bad, but could be good. They're probably sitting at base, probably 5 wins. But they very well could get to that 7-8 area. They could start off the season 1, 2, 3, 4-0, and then it gets tricky from there. But yeah, I mean, they could end up with 6, 7 wins and kind of be on the good side of the Big Ten.
I'm right there with you. I love that number, 5-6 number. Whether you want to classify that as bad or whether you want to classify as bad for everyone else, but good for UCLA, or just bad because it doesn't make a bowl game or whatever. I think they're a bowl team. They're fighting for bowl eligibility, and they're still about a year away. So I am gonna go bad on the verge of good sort of deal with UCLA. Michigan State may have finally got it right. They went out and hired Pat Fitzgerald, who won his wrongful termination suit against Northwestern. Kind of cleared his name in the coaching ranks amongst college football. Northwestern did him dirty. He won like $59 million or something like that. I don't know. And he goes to Michigan State, who over the last, what's it been now, 5 years, just not consistent, just not disciplined. Everything in East Lansing has not looked good coming from, what was it, D'Antonio? Was that his name?
Yeah, Mike D'Antonio.
Coming from Mike D'Antonio, where it was just consistency year after year after year. Pat Fitzgerald goes out and does bring in Nick Sheridan, who spent 2 years at Alabama. Now he really known for throwing the ball around. He also spent a year at Indiana with Michael Penix. He was at Washington. Good, bad, or ugly for Michigan State and Pat Fitzgerald.
I'm gonna go good. I think they can pull off the 8-9. I don't. 10 might be a very big stretch, but I think 8-9 is probably appropriate for Michigan State. I think Pat Fitzgerald, like them getting rid of Jonathan Smith, and getting Pat Fitzgerald was like the best move for them. So yeah, I'm cool with them being on the good side.
I think he's on the good side as well because he's a good coach. He did less with more at Northwestern than anyone in the history of Northwestern. Also, Michigan State's getting an influx of cash. So I think all that combined, you're looking at 8 wins, 8-4, and that would be good to me based on what Sparty's been. I think Michigan's got a real headache coming up. That rivalry is kind of renewed, and they got not that they took it seriously, but Michigan State was not on Michigan's level the last 5 years now, and so here we be in East Lansing. All right, let's go down to Kentucky. Will Stein, offensive coordinator, last couple of years for Oregon, comes over to help a just anemic offensive culture program maybe grow an identity there in Kentucky. So Will Stein, good, bad, or ugly. Bad part is he's in the SEC.
Yeah, it's kind of the hard part about the schools of the SEC that get like new coaches is obviously your expectations are just ridiculously high because you're in the SEC, and it's like, oh well, you need to be a big time winner. But I'm gonna say they're probably gonna be bad. They're probably gonna be run of the mill of the SEC. Just kind of doing what they've always done, kind of just hanging around. It's not going to really be an improvement. It's not going to be it's not improving. Another word. Opposite of improving.
Opposite of improving. Not
regressing.
There you go.
There
regressing.
Go.
Yeah. Not improving.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's. Can I just create another category and just say they're just going to be
mid
stationary?
Stationary.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be bad.
Sure.
It'll be meh.
Head coach is only as good as coordinators. He's bringing in Joe Sloan, who won a Heisman Trophy with Jaden Daniels and led the SEC in passing and total offense while under him. And then he's bringing in Jay Bateman, who was the defensive coordinator over there in Aggie land. I expect much improvement. They're bowl bound, absolutely. Whatever 6-6, 7-5 is, whether that's stationary, whether that's good, whether that's bad for the fan base, Kentucky's going to have a long haul. I think they do make a bowl game this year. So whatever you classify that as, that's what I'm going with. All right. Holy moly, we got a lot left. But let's kind of pick up the pace here. Neil Brown, good, bad, or ugly, coming over from West Virginia after he was fired.
Where's he going to?
North Texas, sorry.
I'm going to say bad because they lost a lot of talent, and that's a lot of talent that they have to replace, and they also get Indiana at Indiana week 1. So it's going to be a rough. I don't think it'll be ugly, but I think it'll be bad for North Texas.
I'm in agreement with you. Billy Napier at JMU after he was let go of Florida.
God, if there's ever a program that's going to get really ugly really fast, it's probably Billy Napier's.
I would agree with that. I want to say that it'll be bad just because Billy might be better at that level, you know?
So it might be bad for the first 2 years. And then it might get ugly.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. Brian Hartline at USF is very interesting. Offense, NFL. He was the wide receivers coach at Ohio State, and it was draft pick after draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. Going down to the American. Can he get the same level of talent? That's the first question. Second, was it just because he was getting the high-end talent at Ohio State and then they were basically NFL prospects and he kind of just brought them along and stabilized them? Or is he an elite developer? That's what we're about to find out at USF. Brian Hartline, good, bad, or ugly?
I think it'll be good. I think there'll be not a playoff team, but a bowl team. I can't imagine how, if you come from Ohio State, it's the same thing with Alabama where your coaches typically kind of do pretty well for at least 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be good for them.
I'm going to agree with you. I think it'll be good for USF. And there's no shortage of talent in Florida, right?
Right.
Miami doesn't want a 4-star. Okay, well, you can go and play in the American. They play there in Tampa. I think it'll be good. I'm not sure they'll win the American, but I think they are making a bowl team. Alex Mortensen in Birmingham at UAB.
I mean, that's just got to be bad on the verge of ugly.
Okay.
I would say I don't think anyone really wants to take care of that program.
I think I'll agree with you. I think I'll say it's bad. Tosh Lapoy at Cal, defensive coordinator, coming from Oregon to Cal.
I'll just go bad. It's them and Stanford aren't schools you go to play football.
I'm going to say bad because they already tried a defensive coordinator at Cal in Justin Wilcox, and that was bad. So, what do they expect? And I'm with you. You don't go to Cal to play football. All right, let's get serious again. Or actually, let's do one more non-serious one, which is Charles Huff coming from Southern Miss. Charles Huff, if you remember, was at Marshall, made a bowl game. Marshall didn't want to pay him. Something weird happened there. Fired him. Whole team left. Marshall couldn't play in the bowl game. Went to Southern Miss. Went from 1-11 to 7-5 last year. Now is at Memphis, replacing Ryan Silverfield. Memphis, good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to say they're going to be bad on the verge of good. They're probably going to be sitting 6-7, 7-8 win-wise. I'm
going to go good because he's proven nothing otherwise. Not saying he'll win the American, but I am saying maybe even an 8-9 type season there in Memphis. Penn State and Matt Campbell comes from Iowa State. Penn State waited and struck out a bunch of times. And then Matt Campbell said, you know what? I'm tired of doing less. I'm tired of doing more with less. I'm going to go to a place where if I can see where I can do more with more. He's going to have all the resources. He's going to have a brand new-ish stadium, a great atmosphere, a great college town. Matt Campbell at Penn State, good, bad, or ugly?
It'll be good. They'll be fine. They have a soft schedule again. They're probably going to win 10 games. And with the way their schedule is, honestly, they probably could win 11. They probably could go undefeated with the way their schedule is, be at the Big Ten championship. So, yeah, and I think they'll be good.
Bringing in a bunch of Iowa State Cyclones with him. We've seen this move. They brought in like 18 players. Kirk Cinetti did it most recently, including Rocco Beck, the quarterbacks coming in. I don't see how they don't win 10 games with the schedule that you said or you mentioned, Bob.
It's bad.
It's
right. Your typical Penn State schedule.
A good schedule for Penn State. It's a bad schedule for the rest of the country. Matt Campbell's resume, in top 10 games, he's 4-6. 3 more wins than James Franklin had, so he's got him beat there. Matt Campbell has been the most underrated coach in all of college football for years. I think he puts on a show at Penn State. This year, it's good. We'll just have to see where it goes from there. All right, let's do these next 3 quickly. UConn, Jason Candle comes from the MAC, somewhere in the MAC. Toledo.
I'm going to go bad.
Okay, you're going to go. So he stays in the MAC now because UConn is joining the MAC. So you're going to go bad. I'm going to go good. You know, you bring in a championship level, at least conference championship. Will Hall taking over for Tulane. I believe he was on staff. Yes, he was on staff at Tulane. So Tulane, good, bad, or ugly?
Bad could be good.
Okay. I'm just going to go bad could be ugly. Mike Jacobs is coming from Mercer to Toledo. Mercer, really good run in the FCS. Toledo, Mike Jacobs, good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to go bad could be ugly.
Okay. Very interesting. It's a weird pull from Mercer. You don't see a lot of head coaches just on that. I'm going to go good. Just because I don't know a lot about him, but if you're going from FCS, Mercer, to FBS, maybe someone knows something I don't know. We often discuss how schools are scored to reach for the next Cinetti or Bob Chesney. Mike Jacobs could be that guy in this cycle. I'm reading this from an article. He was 20-6 at Mercer. Blake Anderson, back in college football, he was at Arkansas State and then Utah State. His wife tragically died of cancer. Takes over. He was promoted at Southern Miss to take over for Charlie Huff, who left for Memphis. Good, bad, or ugly for Southern Miss this year?
Bad.
I'm going to go bad with you. He was never outstanding at either one of the stops. Coastal Carolina, Ryan Beard comes over from Missouri State, who had a great transition from FCS to FBS last year, did very well, but now he's at Coastal Carolina, who has not been relevant since 2020, COVID season. Good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to go bad as bad. Very well could end up being ugly.
Okay. Washington State went out and hired Kirby Moore, who was the offensive coordinator at Missouri. Washington State, again, new formed Pac-12. Good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to go good, but it's going to be like a 7, 8, 8, 9 kind of good.
Missouri State hired Casey Woods, who was the offensive coordinator at SMU. Very productive offense there. So Missouri State, again, came into Conference USA did very well in their first year FBS. Good, bad, or ugly?
I'm going to say it's going to be bad, but on the verge of being good.
You know what? I like that a lot, and I will agree with it. All right. Last one, and then we will kind of take a breath and talk about the one final team that is on. Ohio went out and hired John Hausner. Fun fact, Ohio has won 7 straight bowl games. That's very, very impressive. They elevated their defensive coordinator to their head coach, and that's who John Hausner is, or Hauser is. So, good, bad, or ugly at Ohio?
We all know how we feel about defensive head coaches, but I'm going to say it's still going to be good, and you would think good, probably like a 7-8 win season.
Okay. Mac is always just a kind of a roll the dice from year to year. I'm going to say good because they keep it in-house. All right, our final team is our team, the Michigan Wolverines. So after I would say disappointing 9-3, especially offensively, and struggles defensively, however, and then the offseason just hit, and it hit hard, coming off of a previous offseason and of allegations. Then there were more allegations, and Sharon Moore was fired, and then Sharon Moore was arrested, and then we're getting no candidates, and the young candidates we want, especially the one I wanted, Arizona State's head coach, stays there. We go out and get Kyle Whittingham, who had stepped down from Utah just a few weeks prior. Kyle Whittingham comes in for 20 seasons at Utah, very successful. He is 66 years old, and that has been the biggest downside, or that we have been told. He brings in 2 brand new coordinators with him. He brings Jay Hill from BYU, and he brings in Jason Beck from Utah, who followed him from Utah, who had the nation's leading rushing team there at Utah last year. And that's what Michigan wants to do. Good, bad, or ugly for Kyle Whittingham in Michigan?
So for Michigan, I would say we are on the very edge of good to ugly. And the reason I'm saying ugly is because Whittingham's first season at Michigan, he has a pretty rough schedule. He gets, Oklahoma, Iowa, Penn State, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. You could lose all 5 of those games very easily, and then you're looking at 7-5, which for Michigan is ugly. Mm-hmm. That is an ugly season. But for all we know, he could be walking into, it could be Ohio State and Michigan could be 1-2 and both be undefeated. That's kind of the beauty of the Big Ten, or really college football in general, is just the fact that you don't really know what's going to happen. But I would say it could be very good, or it can be very bad very quickly.
Sharon Moore really mismanaged the offense last season. Obviously, his priorities were elsewhere within the building last year. There was no dedicated quarterback coach. That has since been changed. The offense 1 week was run heavy. Then the next week it was pass heavy. Bryce Underwood's development kind of stalled about halfway through the season. I felt everything was a fastball. I'm with you. The schedule is not great, but I just believe that Michigan's going to play cleaner football. They're going to be physical. And what they're most importantly going to do is run the football. Jordan Marshall has come back for another season. Savion Hitter is back as well, or coming to the program as a true freshman. I think that there are pieces there in the backfield. The offensive line is back. Most of the defense kind of stayed together. And most importantly, the secondary came back. I think it's going to be good. My expectations for Michigan are 10-2. Whether that is asinine for me to say here on 4th and 1 podcast, whether you agree with it or not, my expectations are 10-2 because Bryce Underwood is returning and he has all the talent in the world. You upgraded the coaching around him, both in the coordinator and the position coach, there was none, and now there's at least one, right? The defense, I expect to say the same. And I thought that the defense played well enough to win almost every single game last year. The offense just didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So I'm going to say good 10-2. However, if the wheel starts coming off the track early and they lose to Indiana and they start losing games in the middle of the season, Kyle Whittingham also has shown that when things start going awry, things go awry very fast. Utah 2 years ago, case in point, he was going to retire after that season, and then things just went really wrong really, really quickly. He cleaned house. It's a new GM, whole new coaching staff. The only remaining is Tony Alford. Thank you, Lord. He stayed, and so hopefully he will help. What are your expectations for Michigan this year?
Well, I feel like the expectations for Michigan are always the same as you win, and like you just win out. But on a realistic standpoint, I would say probably 10-2.
Okay.
9-3. With losses probably coming at Ohio State, probably at Oregon, and then Indiana. Penn State, it should be a very good game. It's home for Michigan. You don't really know what Penn State's going to bring to the table. Whenever coaches from outside the Big Ten come to the Big Ten, the first couple of years are kind of shaky, just because it's a totally different style of football than what they've always coached. We get Iowa at home also, so we don't have any pink locker rooms and we don't have to wave to the children. So that always helps. And we get Oklahoma at home too. A lot of our bigger games are at home, which does help, except for the two big ones, which are Oregon and Ohio State, which are on the road.
Kyle Whittingham is 177-88 all time. He took Utah from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, and he won a championship with them. Then they made the transition to Big 12, and that's kind of over the last couple of years where things, like, I thought that Utah would immediately go from Pac-12 to Big 12 and run the ship physically, and that just did not happen. More recent people are saying, again, he did more with less. Well, now he's got more with more. He's got all the talent, and literally he's got all the money in the world. I think the intriguing team in the Big Ten this year isn't Michigan, but Indiana. And that sounds weird to say. And yes, I will not bet against Kirk Cinetti until proven otherwise. But Indiana, I still can't get over the fact that it's Indiana doing this again and again, and I want to see what this year turns out, because every schedule looks tough based on preseason, right? Every schedule looks tough, but once we get into it, is Indiana still an elite team, right? Was it the coordinators? Is Dan Lanning, or is Dan Lanning back to not kicking field goals sort of deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to be discovered yet. But that's what college football is about. It's a story. And this is chapter 1. This is kind of what are they called in books? A prelude? Is that a thing? Is that a big thing in books? Yeah. I don't read a lot. People know this if they listen to the podcast enough, that there's not a lot of reading going on, at least from this side of the two.
Yeah, if you think I read.
If you think I read. You read the ingredients on the bag of chips, right?
Sometimes I just want to make sure it says potato.
Dude, amen, brother. Amen. I will read the bag of trail mix to see what kind of nuts are in there, but other than that,
come on.
Dude, that's all I got. All right, Bob. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope the listeners have enjoyed it. Again, this is the prelude. Spring games are starting, a couple weeks, 3 weeks or so?
Well, Michigan's is April 18th, so like a month.
Okay. All right. I would assume then other spring games are around there. Yeah. Here's a fun topic for you. Do you think we'll have more spring games this year because there's no spring portal? Last year, a lot of teams decided not to do it because there was a spring portal and they didn't want to put out free advertisement for their players. Are we going to see more spring games this year?
Yeah, probably. we'll probably have more, just mainly because there is no spring portal. But I could also see them being like, yeah, we're just not going to do spring games anymore because spring games just might honestly kind of go by the wayside. At least like the big televised, like, Big Ten Network and stuff like that going around. So I could see them just doing like smaller joint practices.
I saw an interesting idea, and it's, why don't you go get an FCS team? Because it would solve why don't you go pay one of them to come up and play you, right?
Listen, we did that with Michigan already, and we saw how bad that turned out. All right.
Okay, well, yeah, but that wasn't.
We don't need that to happen
That
anymore.
wasn't in spring, right? So you go up and you go get an FCS team, and then you're not allowed to schedule an FCS team in the fall.
Well, and that kind of makes like a good point too, because even high schools do scrimmages against other schools. So, like, why aren't there? I guess you're like, oh well, Alabama's going. I mean, Alabama has their scrimmage week 8-16 against Mercer, anyways. So what does it matter? But yeah, I mean that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Are you in favor of spring? I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Do you like spring games? Well, that's the question. Do you like spring games, or?
I'm kind of indifferent on them because from like the player standpoint, like they're doing the same thing instead of doing position workouts and everything. Now you're just piecing everything together, having a big practice, but there's just more energy and a more like game-y feel to it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more beneficial for the players than it is for anyone who's like tuning in to watch it.
Oh yeah,
just because 75% of the kids are actually never going to touch the field, so it's like you're essentially just watching preseason NFL football. But yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily a bad to them. Probably the only bad thing about them is just how publicized they've become.
Well, also, your point, I think people take them far, far too seriously, right? Like they'll see the product in spring and they're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be what fall looks like, and then it's nowhere close, and people are like, I don't know how this team regressed, and I'm like, well, it's spring.
Colorado was one of them,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Like Colorado, a great spring practice, biggest televised event. It was sold out, and then what did they do that first year, right?
Yeah, because they had that spring game.
It was snowing.
They had a kid who had like 5 touchdowns or whatever, and the very next day he was in the portal.
Right.
So I think getting rid of the portal, that makes the world of difference.
Yeah. I think spring games are, well, it scratches an itch for us as fans, right? Like I want to see something. Do I like watching Ohio State? No, but if they have a spring game and it's televised, will I sit down and will I watch it if it's on television? Hell yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Why watch
Still football?
Right. It's competitive football because they normally break it up and do some sort of scoring system where something's on the line.
Yeah,
Michigan,
they play dumb scoring system, but yeah.
Ohio State is especially, but mainly that's just who's in charge of it. Michigan, what you play for hot dogs or steaks, right?
Yeah, I think the winning team gets like the winning team. I think gets a steak. Losing side, I think, gets like hot dogs. I'm like, that's a win-win either way for me.
That's what I was about to say. Damn,
you ain't punishing me there, homie. I'm out there trying to lose so I can slam down some hot dogs. I can eat a lot more hot dogs than I can steak.
You're just Robert has to make an open field tackle, and you're just like,
just
no.
Totally whiff on and been like, yo, get them buns ready, baby.
You're the only, you go into the losing locker room, quote unquote, and you're like, hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dogs.
Everyone else is all, upset and mad. And I'm like pumped. I got a ketchup bottle and everything else. I'm ready to rock and roll. I got the mustard going.
You're doing it like a champagne bottle, just squeezing yeah.
I'm having the time of my life.
I'm with you. I would actually prefer to eat a hot dog over a steak. Is that asinine for me to say?
I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. I do like steak, but I can get like 100 hot dogs for the same price that I could get a steak and be full for a couple days.
Yeah. And now if you bring in sausages into this, like sausage and brats, now we're talking, dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, people can always, they'll be like, oh, well, you just haven't had a good steak or something. I was like, no, I've had some pretty good steak, but I don't know, man. Steak doesn't hit a nerve or just that feeling when you just slam down like a nice grilled brat on a summer day.
Yeah.
I can't walk around and eat my steak. It's like, oh, you can do it a tomahawk. Yeah, but then I'm walking around with a bone.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me a hot dog. I eat the thing. We're good. We're going. I'm driving, eating hot dogs.
You can't be standing by the pool eating a steak.
Yeah.
And dude, and when it snaps, and then I'm gonna say I'm gonna say something really sus here, but when it snaps and then comes in your mouth, dude.
I mean, okay.
You know what I'm talking. But you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
However, yeah.
Maybe. I like how I
back it up. But yes,
I like how I knew what I was gonna say would sound bad, and I still decided to say it.
Yeah.
That's just my personality for you, because I'm here to entertain. So I hope everyone here was also entertained for the last hour and 6 minutes. Drop us a like, drop us a follow, drop us a share. Follow us on TikTok, 4th and 1 Pod, Facebook and Instagram, 4th and 1 Podcast. We'll see you when we see you next. Happy spring-ish, everybody. Wash your hands, you filthy animals.